You don't fully relate to millennials. You don't fully relate to Gen X. You're stuck in between. And that's exactly why you're different. If you were born between 1976 and 1985, you are what psychologists call a Xennial, the forgotten micro-generation. You had an analog childhood, but a digital adulthood. And that combination shaped your brain in a very unique way. You remember playing outside until the streetlights came on. No phones, no tracking, just freedom. But you also remember the first time you heard the dial-up internet sound and how magical it felt. You didn't grow up with technology. You grew up with the transition, and that changes everything. Xennials developed something rare, digital adaptability with emotional grounding. Here's what that means. You know how to survive without the internet, but you also know how to thrive with it. You can read a room, but you can also read analytics. You understand delayed gratification because you didn't get everything instantly growing up. Yet now you live in a world that moves at 10x speed. That tension created a very specific psychology. You're independent but secretly tired. You're ambitious but cautious. You value stability, but you witnessed economic crashes. 2008 hit you right when you were building your career. You were told, work hard, be loyal, climb the ladder. Then you watched loyalty get layoffs. So now, you don't fully trust systems, but you still feel responsible for succeeding inside them. That inner conflict creates quiet anxiety. Another trait, Xennials are emotionally literate. You weren't raised in therapy culture, but you were young enough to accept it later. You can talk about trauma, but you also know how to just deal with it. You text, but you still prefer calls for serious conversations. You use emojis, but you remember handwritten letters. You're the bridge generation. You explain technology to your parents and explain how life used to be to Gen Z. And here's the deeper psychology. Because you experienced both worlds, you crave balance. You don't chase cloud, you chase meaning. You don't romanticize hustle culture, you romanticize peace. And maybe that's why so many Xennials feel slightly out of place. Too young to be traditional, too old to be digital natives. But here's the truth. You're not behind, you're layered. You have emotional depth from the offline world and strategic thinking from the online world. And in a chaotic society, that combination is powerful. The world is loud, fast, always connected. But you remember when it wasn't, and that memory gives you perspective most people don't have. So if you're a Xennial, you're not stuck in between generations. You're the bridge that understands both, and that might be your biggest advantage. If this felt like it was describing you, that's not coincidence. That's psychology.